enough water back into the system. And if you don't like coconut water, then try get Pedialyte, eat lots of ripe bananas, just to get the salts necessary
The balance.
to get the balance, to get back in your body. I'm
Well,
telling you,
a
do not
great
take
thing
it
is coconut
lightly.
water. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't take it lightly. I will look and tell you what happens to the organs when they're slow cooked in the body. What happens to the kidneys, that high processing organ that is the filter of your body.
That's it a whole lot. Yeah.
Just imagine. Ooh, and the quality of your blood, if you're not, listen, it's not pretty. I'm just giving that warning because I know I keep drinking, I keep drinking. It's like I can't get enough. Even now we're on air, we're talking a lot. Your mouth gets dry. No? Saliva thickens. Not supposed to be like that. We do need to get some water on set, by the way. When you see one of your fabulous ladies, it's a good time to say good morning to the staff of JD's Urban Pub. They have a full house this morning. So if you were planning to come by to have ackee and saltfish, come late because I already see diners were coming out.
Oh, they're
But
here. Yeah.
yes, on Thursdays, as you know, we are hosted by our Ligani Club family and by JD's Urban Pub. The Ligani Club, your premier sporting location in East, your premier sporting location in the English-speaking Caribbean, quite frankly. I know I'm always the one rattling about the Ligani Club. So I'll do the Ligani Club and you'll talk about JD's Urban Pub
Remember
because
last
they
week we had
spoil
potato.
you.
They had
That
sweet
beautiful
potato
sweet potato
and
pudding
cornmeal.
and cornmeal pudding. It was close to, because it was so close to the Independence
Independence.
holidays.
Yeah, some, yeah.
Yeah, we were still eating native food. Let's put it that way. But I will talk
native
about
food. It sounds like
local treats.
like you've come from overseas, so this is native food. This is our
Yeah.
food.
Yes,
I grew up on
but remember,
potato,
you know,
potato pudding with the scallops on the top.
yeah, that's what makes it native. You grew up on it. Some of the other things you're eating these days, you grew up on it.
No,
May I ask?
I've gone
I don't know
back.
what you're eating these days.
No,
but-
I've gone back to, you call it native
cocoa
food,
and dasheen.
and
Yeah, my niece brought some beautiful
Cocoa.
dasheen and cocoa too, but I don't usually call cocoa beautiful, but dasheen, so shapely and full and gummy and kind of gummy. Where's Earl Brown to give me some dasheen memories? Yeah, she brought dasheen,
Okay.
and because she works with Rado, she's seeing, and she was at the Denby.
Yeah.
She's seen, she was telling me how our farmers are doing a beautiful job of prepping and presenting their product for the market. You know, impressive work going on in
And
some
as you talk
quarters of the
about,
nation.
anybody out there have a whole lot of breadfruit, as many breadfruits as you can get to me, we'll take from you.
Really?
Yeah,
What are you doing?
Export. Some friends of mine are exporting
Oh,
breadfruit.
okay,
Roasted
so-
breadfruit. A gentleman
so they'll take it
overseas-
roasted?
Yes. Yeah,
You
man.
roast it and bring it, but you can't take roasted breadfruit from people to
No,
export it.
We'll get the breadfruit.
take them raw,
and then we roast
and
them.
you'll roast them,
Prepare
okay.
it and,
Yeah.
and package it in
Oh, yeah?
the suction thing and export it. There
Yeah.
is a gentleman who says, as much as you can
As
give me.
many as you can. Listen, my niece, when my niece in London tell me how they buy breadfruit by the segment, is that where it's going? London to England?
No, I remember, and it's something some friends of mine are continuing to explore. Somebody said to us, as much as prepackaged food you can get that has been roasted or cooked, and then you freeze wrap it, suction,
Yeah.
and send it to Europe. You can.
There's a market for it.
There's a market for
Yeah,
it.
well, when my niece tell me that she had come for the holidays, I think it was around Christmas, and she was telling me that she is living in London. There, at Christmas time, they make a special effort to do a traditional Jamaican
Jamaican
breakfast
food. And
with
they-
all of the things that you remember from your childhood that you love. So
breadfruit by the segment.
roasted breadfruit, fried with some ackee and saltfish and some corn pork.
Yes. Your
It's
favorite.
a hit, yes. But she tells me, like you would pay £4
Right.
for a segment, like a quarter. So, in Jamaica now, we roast 3 breadfruit.
Yes. Oh my Lord.
Her kids were wide-eyed at this feast. because
Her kids.
yes, because they're accustomed to, you buy a half or a quarter, small family, but nobody's expecting to eat more than 3 slices.
And so she bought up 3 roasted breadfruit when she was
No,
there.
we at my house, we're doing
Oh,
breakfast
and they
and we
came.
have breadfruit tree.
Okay, so they
so,
came.
so yes, so
And they're going, wow, they've
it
never
is
seen
like
so much bread.
this is
Oh,
like gold
oh
being
my Lord. Oh, geez. You know, so many things we take for granted.
yeah. Oh gosh, so
Even today, as
I
we
tell you.
as we celebrate Marcus Garvey's birthday
Yeah,
today.
please, may I just say my word for the sponsors? And
Yes.
and I was saying you will do JD's Urban Pub because they spoil you. Anytime Pastor wants fried dumplings with his breakfast, somehow there's a chef in the kitchen that will manage to get some
Is
out
that
for
a
you.
tinge of envy?
No, it's I'm giving you a task which I expect you which I expect you to do
She said,
well.
like,
And I
every
lay the
time, Pastor.
foundation. I
Pastor.
lay the
Oh, my
foundation. So when
Lord.
you speak about them, you'll be sure to give full credit for
I
the
love the
way
food.
they
I
take
love it.
care of you. All right.
I love
So
how they treat me.
yes. Okay. So Ligani Club now. In fact, this season, if you're a squash lover, you can pass by to see the trials for the senior squash competition, regional competition that's actually being hosted in Cayman Islands. Come, I think, in another week or two. But right now, the trials are taking place at the club. We do have 6 squash courts. 3 of them are glass courts, so they're good for spectators to just watch, enjoy the game of squash. We have 8 tennis courts, full service gymnasium, a large size, family size swimming pool that you're gonna need in this hot, hot summer, walking trails in the garden, and the hotel rooms are beautiful and reasonably priced if you want to spend an overnight in Kingston for a day or two, maybe. That is Orligany Club. And we have a resident chef restaurant, which Pastor will speak about when we return from our break, because it is 7 o'clock and I've managed to flow freely into the 7 o'clock break. Your time when we return, Pastor Percival.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
Welcome back. It is 14 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock, and it is still free flowing Thursday. I started off by just talking up a bit the virtues of our main sponsor on a Thursday, Ligani Club. Always excited to increase their membership by seeing Jamaicans taking a move to be fit and healthy, because it is a members club that focuses on health, on wellness, on sporting activities. But then comes the food part, which I reserve for Pastor Percival.
It is excellent.
In a word.
It tantalizes. It titivates.
Oh, well, titivate, but you've crossed into.
Yeah, man. Excellent.
After the dumpling wallet comment on, I can't see dumpling quite the same way again.
Fried dumpling. And their different dishes. The ackee and saltfish.
You know the mackerel.
Mackerel
This is
run
a
up.
place I've come to enjoy.
Enjoy the
just the
mackerel.
mackerel. The way
Yeah,
we
man.
cook salted mackerel, pickled mackerel.
Yes,
Yes.
and cooked up saltfish.
The beauty and courtesy
Courtesy
of the
of
wait
which you-
staff.
yes.
Thank you, my dear.
Good morning.
Water being delivered. We've been talking about staying hydrated. Thank you.
Yes.
See, water from Jamaican water.
Yes. Real Jamaican mystic water. Yeah. But the food really
Yes, I don't know what's going on.
is excellent, and we are so grateful.
And it's JD's Urban
My
Pub.
pub, yeah.
That is you. I know they have lots of social media presence on Instagram and
yes,
on
What? Social media? They have a
social media. Yeah, man. If you
page,
put in JD's Urban Pub
Twitter.
and you see what they're doing.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you mean, so go and like.
Oh, Percy don't know how to put it.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, we're trying to show off the
Yeah,
water and see if anybody who's watching us feel motivated to get a drink of cool water. And I'm setting a bait for Earl. But
You're setting a thing
a
for her.
bait, I don't know that. I don't know
Why
that.
would you do that?
I don't know that Earl will respond to water. Oh, Wayne is up and about. Good morning, Wayne. Still thinking about your dictatorship plan and hope you have repented. All right, so the Gleaner is doing something.
Wonderful.
I don't know if you remember when they did it for COVID.
Yes.
They would run like a ticker tape on the top of their paper saying like how many deaths or how many. When they really want to keep an issue in the front of your brain, they give you a blow by blow report. All right, so today in the Gleaner, they have a list of opposition MPs and senators who have responded to the question, have you been contacted by the Integrity Commission concerning an investigation for illicit enrichment? Because you see, many of us understand
Oh my
that this
God.
issue could make or break a situation. From the perspective of governance, we are all horrified that there may be persons who are right now actively involved in high value matters with the knowledge that they are under investigation for illicit enrichment. They have not disclosed it. They may even be making moves that could ultimately frustrate the integrity of what we're doing, but we don't know who they are.
Oh, but hold on.
A lot of persons understand that that's a serious issue.
No, but listen to this now. I think the what really sharp the focus on this is when the Integrity Commission said that everybody who is being investigated.
No,
No,
you know who you are. Yes.
So now in the open, they have said okay. So they asked it.
Yeah, and they didn't have to say it. Most of us could apply common sense and realize that due process in a modern society require that comes a point that a man must know he's under investigation because you have to engage with him. When the police, if police put up your name and say you're a person of interest, you know you're under investigation for something. whatever they want to call
So
it.
you were a person of interest.
I was a person of interest
Where
and
were you
I was
invested?
arrested. And at the
That was
time,
take it for a joke, no?
but Percy, if they had done even a scintilla of investigation, they would not have pursued it. That is
It's unfortunate.
that's the manipulation of things. So can you imagine? It reached far enough for it there to be a report that says 6 are under investigation. The 6 know themselves.
But this has
In fact,
taken it to another level.
I see one minister says he has not been told that he's under investigation, so he's assuming he's not. And what I see here is a kind of a splitting of hairs. The Integrity Commission says, lawmakers who are being investigated for illicit enrichment must be so advised. Declarants under such an investigation must, by law, be given an opportunity to explain how they came by their assets.
Okay, so when Mr. Remember, and you have to follow the trail. So when our erstwhile Minister of Justice
Yes.
says, you remember you hear that comment, and I'm going, why did he have to say that? Why did he say that? Oh, now we begin to
Now you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what the inquiry would be like. The Integrity Commission would not necessarily write to you and say, "Dear Percy, please be advised that you're under investigation for illicit enrichment." They may write to you and say, "Dear Percy, please explain
How you going by this?
how this information match up with that information." I'm just theorizing here. I don't believe investigation is a process of inquiry into facts. And the process will require letters being sent to individuals asking questions. So I would say to a doubtful parliamentarian, if the Integrity Commission has written to you more than once,
Keep
asking you to resolve certain issues, and when you give them information, you know they're not satisfied because they ask you for more information, and at no time do they write to you to say, "We are satisfied."
You know, sir.
And if they don't write to say, "We are satisfied," you are under a duty to self to ask them, "Have I satisfied your queries?" If they don't answer you, assume it's a no.
Yeah.
Unless they tell you, "Yes, we are satisfied," just assume you're under investigation. And you don't necessarily need to withdraw from public life, but begin to make your arrangements for robust defense of self. That's what I would say to you.
But it's the same procedure that happens with those who work in the public sector. Because remember, in the report,
public officials.
and I pulled it up. So there were 6 parliamentarians, and there were another 20 odd people in the public sector who one person had gone to court and been convicted, right? But there were some that they were continuing investigation. So it's the same process across the board for everybody, isn't it?
Yes, it's the
Yeah,
same.
it's the same process.
No
So-
difference.
Yeah, so and one of the headlines that we saw about 2 weeks back, that this lady who was a custom had about 25 different accounts. And I'm going, why these the various accounts,
Yeah.
you know? So
That alone looks suspicious. So opposition MPs who responded, I'm not going to call their name because as you can imagine,
there's only 14.
14 of them have said no.
No, they're not getting nobody not accept.
Nobody has asked them or advised them that they're being.
And the same thing for
And
the
the
Senate,
same thing for the 8 senators.
Oh my
The same
Lord.
thing for the 8 senators.
So now the spotlight is where that there's a gap order.
So assuming that they've all answered
Answered.
honestly,
Yes.
it's not an opposition MP or senator. Meanwhile, in the other camp, the camp where it really matters because they have more
government.
power and access, Minister of Information has announced, quite out of character, really,
comment.
because he's always filled with comments.
He always have something to say.
Always have something to say. He has announced that he has no information on this matter, just borrowing words from the producer. But on behalf of the ministers, he told the press that a prohibition, their own gag order, has been imposed on members of the executive and members of the government not to speak on matters relating to the Integrity Commission, and this is a cabinet policy.
No become policy. So when the prime minister did say, I want to stop the cascas. And
That's the policy.
some people continued on
Yes.
to press.
And we didn't.
And some people went
With impunity. It got worse after he said that, actually. Yeah. So hear this. We are speaking a lot these days about freedom of expression and the extent to which you can really muzzle an individual. The Prime Minister has already been taken through the courts for seeking to control the exercise of conscientious decision making by senators when he asked them to
sign the letter.
sign a letter committing to resign if they didn't follow a certain course. Now here we are answering a question pertaining to your personal status is not commenting on the Integrity Commission. It's not commenting on matters relating to the Integrity Commission. So to stop a parliamentarian from saying, no, I am not being investigated, or I have not been so advised.
I wonder if people go and read it and say,
that is a muzzling of, yes, that's a muzzling of their freedom to speak on a personal matter.
Because of you are going to go to prison, you know.
Thank you. Not only that, remember, that these are persons elected by their constituents to represent their interest in Parliament. So, as a constituent, looking on my MP and wondering, is he one of them? I would expect that my MP would come to me and say, I am not one of them.
Because you can't say
this is now trust between the citizen and their representative.
Because you're not elected. You are not elected by the party,
Prime Minister.
By the party.
Or by the Prime Minister.
Yeah, you are not elected by them. So now, if I know,
but who does this policy target? It is an imposition. The prohibition is imposed on members of the executive, so that would mean cabinet, and members of the government.
It should mean
who are members of the government.
Parliamentarian. So
now is my representative, he's saying, can't speak to me. If I, as a constituent, go to my MP and say, please tell me you are not one of those.
Person, you can't.
He's going to tell me that the Prime Minister say I cannot speak on matters relating to the Integrity Commission.
It's not funny.
You just see where it's going.
It's unfortunate. Because remember, and this thing came into being when people, before, if you're a part of the cabinet and you're a cabinet minister, you had ultimate responsibility for your portfolio.
Yes.
But it morphed into the cabinet.
Join up government.
So the question now is, what does that mean? Because I am responsible and I must speak. You give me a work to do and I must be held accountable and responsible for what I do. So when you tell me, say, boy, a cabinet decision, this mass that nobody can look through and find out and hold people accountable. That's crazy.
I do not believe that there's any space in representational politics for an elected official to tell the people who put him in that the Prime Minister has forbidden him from answering a question on something that pertains to his covenant with the voter.
Yeah.
This would be turning democracy on its head. Oh no, I cannot speak on that, the PM says. That would mean, no, you are not the man to represent me. So
if somebody call it circling of the wagons.
Definitely.
That's what is happening.
So there's a policy decision from cabinet that we do not comment on the Integrity Commission. I understand that. Unless you're praising them. you should not be speaking against an institution of government. And you should have known that
For a long
before
time.
you began to call
go
them
after them.
names. Then it gets deeper. We do not comment on a creature of parliament that is overseen by parliament as cabinet ministers and as members of the government, Morgan stressed. That is a good policy. But one is not asking you to comment on the work of the commission. One is asking you to speak on your personal status. So if they were asked, did you file your report?
Yes.
Did your declaration? Would
Yes.
that be commenting on the
No.
IC? Could not possibly be.
Yeah, that comes at a nice juncture.
Yes.
Lord help us.
It's time for 7:30 break. All right, we'll return. Lord, welcome back. 7:38. Ah, yes. I got confused by the time. All right. We were just looking at the current cabinet policy concerning parliamentarians having the liberty to speak on their own status and to set to rest the anxiety, speculation, whatever disturbance there might be regarding their covenant relationship with their constituents. My first concern as a parliamentarian would be to assure those who elected me to serve that I am okay. But beyond that, those who are concerned about governance are rightly concerned that for a peculiar infraction such as illicit enrichment, and illicit enrichment is, let me, how best to put it, it is defined in the legislation. And so everyone knows that it's not a mathematical error which can be easily corrected. It is a concerning mismatch between assets and means. And quite honestly, unless you can say I won the lottery, there is usually no good explanation ways that it arise. I came into my inheritance. A wealthy relative died, and I have come into possession of property. Those things are easily explained. It is a gift from lost love or
A friend just says, I want to
generous
bless you.
someone. Yes, those are easy explanations. it, I'm stretching my mind to think of other ways that persons can suddenly be in possession. When I say suddenly, it means you don't see over a period of time how they came to be in a position to acquire certain assets, because you and I know that real estate and hefty bank balances don't fall from the sky.
Only comes.
And there are a lot of us who believe in miracle money. And if you have miracle money and miracle assets, well, only the good Lord will help you to explain it, because you got it from Him. And believe me, what is it? The blessing of God that brings joy and adds no
Sorrow,
sorrow.
according to
No
Proverbs.
blessing is going to come from the Almighty Creator that is going to leave you at risk of imprisonment and being fined for illicit
You
enrichment.
see, you can be fined according to it.
You can be fined and imprisoned. If you are tried in the parish court, you can be fined or imprisoned. If you are tried on an indictment in the circuit court, Supreme Court judge, you can be both fined and imprisoned.
Let me ask you one question.
Yes.
So who would prosecute on behalf of what has happened with your integrity, your filings?
You're setting me up, but I will
I'm not
walk
set-
right into it.
I'm not setting you up. I'm just asking a question.
The Director of Public Prosecutions has the right, the authority to conduct, intervene, indirect, bring to a close, initiate. She has full powers. The
So it's
current
not the director of prosecution.
in the
Integrity.
Interior Commission, no.
He does the things and then passes the file to her.
Yes, yes, yes,
So-
and that is why so many are concerned by the mad rush to extend the life of this particular DPP, who is generally believed to be pro-government.
But not only that, and that was one of the reasons why the opposition.
Or maybe she's hard to convince on those matters.
Oh well, let's be generous.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's be generous. But that is why when Mr. What's his name, the former leader of the opposition, that's Peter.
Peter, yes,
I said,
Peter, Dr. Peter Phillips.
said no, I don't want to
Said,
extend it because she's not been very strong on prosecution.
Corruption matters. Yes, yeah.
I want to do this because Holiness Income and Assets for 2021 not yet certified, says Integrity Commission.
What date is that report?
That is October 16, 2022.
We're
and
coming
it-
up on the anniversary.
And it, yeah. And I'm saying,
Almost a year ago.
wow, that's not a good
And you know
look.
what? The Prime Minister is made of sterner stuff than I imagined, because there's so much swirling in the mist that would suggest that there's a concern regarding his own status, that if I were he, I would want to say, listen, whatever the problems there might be with my declaration, it is not me. I have not been so advised by the Integrity Commission.
But he came and said that.
No, instead, he has imposed a gag order on his cabinet.
Yeah. And this is something.
So he really has a stiff backbone, a strong backbone, because if I were he, I would say most people must be thinking that it's me, but it's not me. I would want to say it's not me. He has said it though. Is that what you're saying? You say it's not him.
He said he has been in discussion. And in a statement to Parliament, he had said that earlier in this year, that it, find it. See there? This is June 15, 2023. And he says on June 15, 2023, that
As far as he's aware, it's not him.
No, he never said that.
Or
Talk about the Cascas. Oh, it's not it, it's Cascas. He was
yeah,
saying is not related to the Cascas. You don't want to be, but he had made a statement. They've been talking to him.
yeah.
But we need to know because 2020, these are the assets for 2021. So we haven't gone into 2022 yet. So you do 2021 in 2022. So they couldn't certify it. Unfortunate.
And
And
then if you can't certify it for 1 year, it gums you up for the next,
yeah.
which I think is the point you're
Make
making.
it, yeah.
But if I were here, I would just keep filing them anyway. It's your problem if you can't do my math.
That
I
can
would
do
keep,
my man.
yeah.
No,
Yes, because presumably he's satisfied that he has filed something that is complete. So if the Integrity Commission can't wrap their mind around its completeness, then that's their problem.
we have to, but it's not
His
going.
obligation is to file it, theirs is to vet it and publish it. So he takes care of his part, he does the filing.
It's unfortunate though. It's really unfortunate. Really, really unfortunate. Here we are in the middle of it when we are trying to chart a new course for our country. That the leader of our country is embroiled in this kind of thing right now. And so it makes the trust deficit even
Wider.
wider.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder how he must feel in public and you don't know what persons are
You
saying.
see, yesterday when we went into prayer and we were speaking, and these are not these are not words to be taken lightly. But if there is, I believe that I think it was Wayne who contributed it about the truth setting you free.
Yes.
I believe that when you are open and speak your truth, what you believe and accept, and what the thing that keeps you going, when you speak it and you begin to take decisions and make your moves based on the integrity of your own statements and beliefs,
Position, yeah.
hey man, who can stop you?
Yeah.
So I think we're moving in the wrong direction with the gag order. The cabinet gag order is a move in the wrong direction because those parliamentarians serve
On our
at the
behalf.
at the behest of the electorate.
Do they
and-
really do that? Because after they get
Well,
elected, they
Listen,
forget
it's one of the issues that's occupying
the
the
people's mind.
reformists, because we want politicians who go in on a ticket that is that we set. We want them to be accountable to us. We don't want them to be accountable to the party leader.
No, it can't be, and that's how the politics has gone.
And that's how it has gone. And a prime minister who is comfortable saying to parliamentarians, you're forbidden to speak on this or that matter, and it's not a matter covered by the Secrecy Act, because if it were, you wouldn't have to tell them that. You would simply prosecute them when they breach it. But this gag order is of a different sort. This is a muzzling of persons in whose interest it lies to speak the truth and to speak plainly. But you don't want them to, because it might create an exposure for somebody else. Those somebody else need to get up and speak and move and act and do whatever it is they want to do.
So we need whistleblowers
We need whistleblowers.
in the parliament.
But honestly, I think they all know that there are names already circulating in the street.
Or they are?
Of course, everybody have their list of the six. Or some have five and can't say who the sixth is.
Is it for real or is it just
You-
speculation?
Well, you never know, but I suspect that there's some truth to it, because these documents are not written in invisible ink.
Oh yeah, because it has to pass through
They got
people's
there,
eyes
of
and them
course.
feet. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's fellow Jamaicans who are working on it,
Oh my lord.
and some of the Jamaicans have strong enough political sentiment to say, you know what, the silence has gone on for too long.
Oh boy.
The best way, it's like I'm borrowing from the producer now, who always says, don't suffer in silence. Don't let anybody isolate you in a corner and then hold you hostage and let you believe that you're alone in the world and unless they help you, you can't be helped. So I borrow that from him. In my own book, I say, if you threaten to blackmail me, I'll speak it out there myself. You don't need to blackmail me. So in a situation like this, if I am one of the persons involved, my instinct would be, rather than to leave it to come out at some time when I can't control the wolves,
You
I
can't
would
control the
choose my
narrative.
moment.
I remember Mike said that.
Absolutely.
I remember when Mike was on the program, he says one of his lecturers was a guy who, at Harvard, was a guy who led Clinton in terms of Lewinsky. And he
Yes,
said
this is
they
the
control the
American
narrative.
president.
He'd say, think it goes to it's them release and control the narrative. But wow, it's better you be in
It's
control of the
better
narrative.
you control the
it,
narrative, but who
damn
don't
way.
know that? You don't have to have a Ivy League education like our brother Mikey. But what Mikey says sound.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased to know that that is what a high-priced education would get you. With my moderately priced education, you control the narrative. But it also means
He was on
you're-
scholarship.
Yeah. He was on scholarship.
He was on scholarship. So
Scholarship have value.
it had some value, yes, yes.
I'm looking at some very disappointing news. I just mentioned it briefly. A senior fire official, they describe him, but is a senior member of our fire brigade, is facing sexual assault charges. A National Youth Service volunteer, a 14-year-old girl, has reportedly been left traumatized after being sexually assaulted by a senior member of the Jamaica Fire Brigade who has been arrested and charged with attempted rape. This is a man who they say has worked with
33
the
years.
organization for 33 years.
Oh, Lord.
Wow.
One of the things that jumps out at me when I hear that, I'm just saying we are men and we have to be so careful in terms of the different things that happen to us. We must remember that one thing that is at the center of my mind in terms of every action. If God is there, but if He was standing up right there beside me, would I go through with this action?
Yeah.
Would I go through with this action that I'm considering about? And it's whether it is fear of the judgment or just holding yourself accountable,
Yes.
recognizing that
Doesn't matter.
it acts as a kind of a boundary that
yeah.
you don't cross in terms of certain things.
And and even if it is a struggle that you have, meaning you find yourself being constantly drawn to certain activities that are unwholesome, but you fight against it.
Yeah. Oh, let me tell you about drama yesterday. So I'm going home yesterday, and we're driving heading to Manor Park after you come round the stoplight. And we're driving to this car, and I noticed a taxi ahead of me. I see a lady failing and kicking and thing. And I said, what is happening? So the car is ahead of me. And we stop because
Yes.
it's dark. And he goes up and the man, I said, what is going on over there? And we see the lady trying to open the door and can't come. And when they stop, the traffic light goes to green. The man in front of me just carries his car ahead
And
of the
blocks.
taxi and block it, and I'm
yes.
blocking him.
Ah.
And that's when the lady just jump out and run. She was not she was not clothed, but she was
Oh, no, you mean she was fully clothed or she was
scantily dressed.
scantily clad?
But she was trying to get out. She was
Yes.
calling help, and see she opened the door, tried to come out. And then eventually, we blocking the car, that's how she came out. So she's on the side, and the taxi man goes ahead.
Meaning he drives away or he gets out of the car too.
He drives ahead, goes ahead, and
Yes.
we see a policeman. I look like the guy that was ahead notified him. And when I'm going home, I see the police jump on him bike and ride. And
ride
I go
down.
behind and I say, I don't know what was happening, but that lady was struggling. So I say, you have to come to the police station with me now. You're the man now. You must mind your own business.
The taxi driver says
said
that?
to me, So me must mind my own business. I
But
don't
that
want
is
to.
your business. Does you know you're a justice of the peace?
It's not the justice, it's just being a Jamaican and seeing
Yes,
a
but
lady struggling and
yes,
failing and trying to come out and the struggle. I said, no man, something wrong here, so. So he went down to the police station, he had to go.
of
And, uh,
course. Oh,
and I was just,
well
I
done,
just,
citizens. Alert citizens.
yeah, because we
Yeah.
saw it and we said, the man said, no, what go on? The man ahead of me. And me, I said, what is happening too? And when we got the opportunity, he just back the car ahead and said, him can't go. And me just back him in so the lady get to come out. I don't know
We
what
all didn't do such a good job then if he drove off.
they drove.
He
But the
found
lady got
the,
out. The lady
yeah,
got out of the car, which was the most
the
important
most
thing.
important
And then
thing.
the police went
Yes.
alerted the police.
Well done. Citizens
And we
are
need to
alert on these things.
we need to be more alert because we could have, like the man say, I know well, you don't mind your own business. Say no.
And that's a terrible thing to say. You should have been trying to explain. She robbed me and was trying. You should have been giving some explanation.
No, I mean I just reflected on it and I said, no, as Jamaicans we have to be even
And you
at
know,
risk to our
yes,
own selves.
yeah,
You see somebody in need, no man.
respond.
Have to
And
respond.
even if this is a woman who was trying to run out without paying the cab fare, don't stop her. There are some things, that we need to learn in terms of how we resolve conflict. Some things don't rise to the level where you put yourself at risk. Meaning, if you're a taxi driver and someone has taken your car and when it's time to pay, they start to create drama, let them go.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's
Not worth it.
Yeah.
The minute you try to hold on to that person, you're now a hostage taker
You're putting
over maybe
exactly
$150 or $1,000.
You're putting yourself
You
at
put
risk,
yourself
yes.
at risk, and it becomes a he said, she said. There are some fights that are just not worth getting into. But well done, Pastor Percival.
I mean, I don't know.
And
But
it is your business.
yeah, a
Yeah.
good reputation is more valuable than costly perfume. Good reputation.
Absolutely. Well, we know a
Ecclesiastes-
lady who traded up. She got rid of the perfume and got a good reputation in return. The one who poured perfume on Jesus.
Oh yes,
My wife
yes.
just with her
And
ear.
it said she will forever be
And
remembered.
she listened, man. She wrote her way into history
Mm.
by getting rid of very, very valuable perfume.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, your Minister of Education is speaking on the matter, which occupied your mind yesterday. You were commenting on a high number, like one school had lost 15 teachers.
Yeah, it was in the paper.
It was in the papers. You were counting.
But she's taken solace in the fact that she don't see them come yet, because more is coming. She's saying we had 1,000 last year, this year
Yes.
we only have 400. You don't see that, madam.
Oh, she's saying it's declining.
Yeah, really now. Talk to the people in the system. I don't know who is feeding her that information, but the proof of the pudding now. If in July, when I was tracking the numbers, just 2 weeks, the 2nd of July, the 9th of July, 23, 29 schools, the post that they were looking for was 467 when I added it up.
Yes.
And that took into consideration clear spaces, clear vacancies, and then the 8 and the 4 month people going off on their leave. If in July that is what you're having, you have a problem. Because a lot of persons we know have not tendered their
Their
letters of
of
resignation, waiting until they get their pay in August, then that's when it hits. But by that time they're gone.
But now.
That is,
But now.
I don't like that. I think if people are going, they need to indicate.
Yes, but they're gonna leave at the best stop at the most convenient time and in the most convenient way for themselves. But I would say that it's not enough to say that it's declining. It must decline. Because as the population of teachers fall, overall less and less will be leaving. Fewer will be leaving. So it must decline. A decline is not anything comforting.
Yeah.
It just means that maybe you're already past critical mass in terms of
Yeah.
who's leaving.
And the minister, you see, you can use numbers. Remember, in university, use statistics to that picture.
Of
Minister,
course.
go to ask them how many schools you have a complement on the establishment of 70 teachers. How many schools?
I've already lost
No, finish with
30%.
the full complement of
Yeah.
teachers. Because at a prominent high school, somebody was actually leaving today. Oh, went and they said this week it was 12. Now we need 25, and it is growing. That's in July. And this is prominent high schools, you know.
Yeah, I kind of don't like how she's responding to it because um, the first ones to go are not usually the new ones who are uncertain about
Their future.
earning prospects and future
Yeah.
prospects.
Yeah, but
So the first rush will be mature, and that's what has been happening. Senior
the
teachers
20-year
who have been
teacher,
displaced by the changes that diminish their value and reputation,
yeah,
those left. And those are important ones that you need to be
those are the
training.
backbone.
That's
Those
the
are the
backbone.
mentors of the,
Right. So
and those are the teachers who have left, you know. Because remember, somebody said when they started recruiting, if 5 years in the system, they weren't looking on you. But now, if you have just left teachers college and you have 2 years, they will take you. That's how that's how desperate the US and London and England have come in terms of recruitment. They're taking everybody.
yeah, which tells you to the demand, that's the demand for our teachers, which is coming from outside, tells you that what's happening here is not an isolated issue. It's happening
Elsewhere,
elsewhere,
yeah.
and the drift is more likely to continue than to stop.
In terms of what is happening. And then the other thing is, so I'm hearing the minister, she says, oh, we have so many people coming out of teachers college. But a lot of the people coming out of teachers college are not going into teaching. And that's something we have to consider. So we
Yeah.
have a real crisis. And their conference is next week.
And I'm not saying that the minister needs to panic and do a Chicken Little type of dance. The sky's falling in.
We're not
But
saying that, but we're saying they need to really look at the
yeah, I
system.
feel like she's not being forthright with us on the impact of what is happening and wanting us to feel that all is well or better than is being reported, whilst possibly not taking the proper steps to address the problem. For example, the Ministry of Education I believe that their effectiveness is being undermined by the strategies being put in motion by Hart and the other really
The new minister of
poor
education.
yes, the ministry that is growing in the Prime Minister's office.
Yeah. I remember what's her name? Morrison, I think, the new lady.
Oh yeah, Dana something
Dana,
Morrison.
yeah.
Double digit name, double
So
barrel name.
what she has said.
What she's doing is way more important to our future than some of these. And I believe like the teachers know it. I think they see the death knell being told over the approach in the Ministry of Education. And they'd rather be a part of something that is either fresh and innovative or certainly performing more in closer alignment with what a Ministry of Education should be doing.
And if we have to, unfortunately, you have had structures, and the structures have strongholds in it, and you ask yourself, how do we move this? 'Cause remember, how do we move this forward? Because remember, the Ministry of Education, as you point out, is the oldest.
It's the oldest, it's on the police
Yeah,
and
right.
mostly finance.
And how do we fix that? How do we fix that as a country? What are the strategies? What is the consensus that is
and it's
needed?
fixing it in a transparent way because I believe they're fixing it through what they're doing with Hart and in the PM's office. I believe that's what they're doing. Any robust modern day system that is seeking to look at skills training and transforming your
Continuous
worker
educators,
class
yeah.
from the old school plantation
Type.
sugarcane cutting model to something that is focused on modern technologies and just modern lifestyle.
It's important.
If you're doing that, you are in the area of education. Then now what the danger we're facing now, Percy, is that early childhood education, which is not Heart's forte or the digital transformation skills training forte, is going to be what's left in the Ministry of Education. And that's not an area where they're strong, because they are really strong in planning for the coming out of primary school, all age school, secondary school to sixth form age group.
And they have to do that. They have to do that. As we go to the break, I leave you with Ecclesiastes 7, verse 7. It says, extortion turns wise people into fools, and bribes corrupt the heart.
Oh. Welcome back. All right. Where were we, Pastor Percival, before we took a
No,
break? Just to give you a time check. 19 minutes past 8.
I gave you
Yes,
Ecclesiastes
Pastor
7.
Percival threw something into my cup.
Ecclesiastes
Which,
7,
yes, the bribe.
which says that, hello, what are we doing to ourselves in terms of it? I was just sharing my own
Ecclesiastes 7,
person
verse
verse 7.
7. I wrote it
I
down.
was just just relating what it is that in a lot of situation prevents me from going over the edge. Extortion turns wise people into fools, and bribes corrupt the heart.
So in that proverb, in that wise saying, who's extorting whom? Who is the victim? Who is the extortion turns wise people into fools. So who is being extorted? The wise man? But a wise man not going to submit to extortion. That is the whole point of being
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah, another version say oppression makes a wise man foolish, and a
Well,
bribe corrupts
yes,
the good judgment of the heart.
yes. Those that I mean it does make sense, but it's a kind of a prejudgment. Where is the wisdom in either accepting bribes or bowing to oppression?
Yeah. So but our present state of happenings and circumstances in our nation not very good at all. And if we were not strong in mind in terms of not allowing the imaginations of our heart to make us become what we would, we can't bother. Let it go on. But it cannot be that way. And even as we reflect today on Marcus Garvey and some of the things he has said in his writings and saying, one of the things, and we know it, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. And we have to do that every single day. As we've spoken about being free and being truly free in terms of the things that you do. And then he says to us, up you mighty race, accomplish what you will in terms of the things that you are doing. And he says this in a real men laugh at opposition. Real men smile when enemies appear. Real men laugh at opposition. Real men smile when enemies appear.
Yes, this is your opportunity to put some things to rest. I want to read something from him because you see me here just going through the philosophy and opinion. This is the updated edition which I purchased on last year, Marcus Garvey Day, when we participated in that forum and Dr. Julius was here. So my edition is signed by Dr. Julius himself. To Minette, you represent family, vision, and courage. I think so.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. So that's who you are.
Yes. Yes. He only knew me for a short while. So those of you who disagree, don't take it out on him. He can take it up with me. But I was drawn to what he said about the empire urge. And I picked that one. I'm going to let you choose one. I chose that one because actually I chose two. He has a perspective on the empire urge. Now, of course, we've been the victims of the empirical urge.
Imperial.
The imperial urge or the desire to build empire.
Yes.
We have been victims of it. And here Marcus Garvey is saying we must nurture and preserve and urge within ourselves to create our own empire. Here's what he says. He says, as the Jew is held together by his religion, the white races by the assumption and the unwritten law of superiority, and the Mongolian by the precious, it says, tired of blood, maybe it's tie of blood ties. So likewise, the Negro must be united by one grand racial hierarchy. Our union must know no clime, boundary, or nationality. Like the great Church of Rome, Negroes the world over must practice one faith, that of confidence in themselves, with one God, one aim, one destiny. Let no religious scruples, no political machination divide us, but let us hold together under all climes and in every country, making among ourselves a racial empire upon which the sun shall never set. Now, writing this 100 and odd years ago, Marcus Garvey was not thinking about, well, I would say he was thinking about it, but would not have visualized how the sixth state of the African Union would emerge. Because here he's talking about a virtual empire. It's an empire that is not marked by climate. So not all the people who are in the hot sun or all the people in the white sun are part of it. It means people in the winter, in the cold, in the heat, in the temperate, wheresoever you are, if your skin is the color of mine, we are members of the same empire. So geographic location notwithstanding,
doesn't hold us.
boundary or nationality notwithstanding, we must, like the Catholic Church, where the faithful is those, you are amongst the faithful if you believe and have your allegiance to the Pope. Don't matter which country, whether you're bond or free, to use
the true
old phrase.
in the true meaning when we speak Catholic, it really means the universal church. So it's not Pope, but universal church that is bound by the Spirit of God.
Yeah, but we're talking about, no, here he's talking about the great Church of Rome.
Okay.
That's what I am the one who says, we know the great Church of Rome is headed by the Pope. Yeah, Roman Catholic Church. Would that do it?
Roman Catholic
Yes.
Church, yeah.
He says Negroes the world over must be united. We must find our way to one God. We must have one single mission, vision, aim. And we must be destined for one place, to be together in the heavenlies. All of us together.
Well, that's interesting. Here's one.
Let no religious scruples, so no PNP, JLP,
No political
UIC,
machination.
no religious scruples, no political machination. No, I am Seventh Day, I am Anglican, I am non-denominational, I am. In fact, maybe the non-denominational one is the one that would be the survivor because you have come together regardless of color or creed. No political machination should divide us. No gag order, politically motivated or otherwise, should cause one black man to break faith with the other. I ask you a question, answer me in truth and by your conscience.
Whatever the consequences.
Whatever the consequence.
All of us are willing to deal with whatever the consequences.
Well,
fear.
That's a steep one.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, if we accomplish this, we will create a racial empire upon which the sun shall never set. Europe, flooded by people of African descent.
People of color.
Yes, one empire. Wherever you see, and it is so easy. We don't even need to have secret handshake or wear a ring. You just look at the melanin.
I said,
We are one. This is what Marcus Garvey was proposing. The other one which I chose was allegiance to self first. Because before a man can step out into the world and seek to conquer anything, he must know who he is. And he must be, this allegiance to self first is to me just a call for integrity. Because you know who you are and you're true to who you are. He says, let no voice but your own speak to you from the depth. Let no influence but your own raise you in time of peace and time of war. I kind of love that one. Hear all, but attend only that which concerns you. Now, that runs counter to our faith.
You mean in terms of being selfish?
Yes. Yes. That does run counter. He says, hear all, but attend only that which concerns you. Because you would have heard that woman yelling and trying to get out of the car, but it's not your business. You would just keep driving.
Yeah, but loving
Now,
neighbors myself says that no, I have
yeah,
to be
you have
concerned
to
with
be
the
other person
center, which is
centered.
what love is
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
But then, if you take the empire urge quotation and mix it with the allegiance to self first, self becomes a universal being. Self is not contained by just you.
Yeah, no.
You now identify so much with every other black person that self is bigger than just individual.
It's interesting to read what he says after that.
Your first allegiance shall be to your God. That's why I chose it. Then to your family, race, and country. Remember, always, that the Jew in his political and economic urge is always first a Jew. And then I guess because he says religion is what holds the Jew together, this is the first allegiance to your God. The white man is first a white man under all circumstances, and you can do no less than being first and always a Negro. And then all else will take care of itself. Let no one inoculate you for their own conveniences. There is no humanity before that which starts with yourself. Charity begins at home. First to thyself be true, and thou canst not then be false to any man.
Powerful.
Yes.
You hear this quotation, and he says, God and nature, along that, first made us what we are. And then out of our created genius, we make ourselves what we want to be.
Ah, that's the one you chose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow always that great law. Let the sky and God be our limit and eternity our measurement.
I think you used that one last year.
Yes.
It is truly
yeah,
one of
yeah,
your
yeah,
favorites.
Yeah. God and nature first made us what we are.
Yes.
Because God made us, gave us the natural order and said we must run it. And then out of our created genius, make ourselves what we want to be. That's why we're called to be stewards of
Yeah.
what God has given to us.
But at the ultimate level, those who have decided to be perverse in their redesign of self
Yes.
will say, this is the expression of my creative genius. I see a friend walking all the way over there. Let me say hello. All right. I'm loving the look, the shirt, the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
Good morning, my friend. All right. I am well. I am very well. Let me see if I can help. Let me see that microphone, if I can connect it. Because maybe our producer is normally here to get you properly mic'd and all of that. But Percival and I are going to try and help ourselves so we can talk to you and see if we surprise the producer. Gentry. All right, let me talk a little bit about you before Lowell is going to be back in a few minutes. We've been very, very excited and keeping quiet about our guest, kind of a secret weapon guest. He's my friend, and then I discover he's Percy's friend. But you all know, listening to us now for 2 years, that is a pattern with Minette and Percy. That we have the same friends, but we only discover it when they arrive for the show. So I'm going to allow Percy to do the honors because he's also your church brother.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so you go first. Let's just talk about it and see. We're going to bring you into the conversation as soon as the producer comes, and I'm attempting to connect you to one of these ports. All right, go ahead.
All right. So our guest this morning is a friend of many years. You see him and you don't know how powerful he is. You're not seen him on screen as yet, but you probably might hear him. His name is Leslie Campbell, a man of many hats. I first knew him as a man of God. I knew his family and his children And I also discovered afterward that he was a lawyer. Then this lawyer decided that he's going to go into the field of politics. And he says, well, our belief really is that we believe that in terms of the politics, you need to have men of God on both sides, whether the PMP, the JLP, the UIC, the NDM, because you need men who understand the principles of God in order to say, no, 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 you can't do that because it goes against the law. And of course, he was elected as a member of parliament in 2006, right? 2016. 2016. And then 2016 he served, and then after that he became a senator because he never ran again. Somebody.
All right, that is a way too long and rambling introduction.
That's a rambling introduction.
Yes, my friend, attorney at law, former senator, former member of parliament, parliamentarian, thankfully not now under any gag order. We are going to have a conversation with Leslie Campbell when our producer comes back to the table and can get him properly connected. And we're excited that he's here. This is not a conversation about who done it. It's not a mystery conversation. We've been very desiring, Percy and myself, to speak to someone who has worn the heavy crown of public office, just to understand some of the challenges and to encourage some of you out there who know that you're called to serve in a public office and you're buck shuffling, you're hitching at it. This is someone who has done it and survived. So
survived.
Yeah. So we declare him a survivor. But for the moment, because we're celebrating Marcus Garvey, we're pulling a few quotations from the updated philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was a very young man when he was expressing some of these opinions. And when you think of his age, he started his journey as a teenager. Now, in medieval times, he was looking to live for another 10 years. But right now, with some people serving in parliament into their 80s and their 90s.
90s? Mike is nearing 90.
Yes. No, Mike is, I do not think one will equal Mike Henry's track record. He's fiery. I mean, he is still quite vital, sharp as an attack. Might not be able to run a sprint, but who needs that from a politician? So, Marcus Garvey's utterances, some of the bold opinions that he expressed, were as yet untested by the world. I think he was a very cerebral young man, read voraciously, as some of us do, and carried a burning love for race, and he was close enough to some of the horrors of the time to feel great resentment and anger at the plight of the people who bore the color of his skin. And so he used his intellect and his imagination. Some of the things, when I read them, I'm like, what?
Was way ahead at this time.
I wouldn't say it was way ahead. There's no time for that.
Yeah, because,
no time will come for some of his ideas, because man will never be able to detach. We will never be able to detach ourselves from a mature recognition that we share common space. His idea of a virtual empire of Black people is seeking to take shape in the sixth state of the African Union, the diaspora. The idea that the diaspora can come together virtually is only really possible through technology, because we can use Zoom and elect a parliament, and the president is in one country and the prime minister is in another, and you create a currency. The currency made no sense until we can do a digital currency. There are some things happening now, which I think makes him very prophetic in the way he expressed that. But some of the other things are plain race hate. To love only your race, to cleave only to your race, is a divisive idea. And online, someone is asking me, why is he in a Napoleonic hat? Which is,
yes, because that represented.
Yes, Marcus Garvey as a black man.
Yeah,
why he wears a Napoleonic uniform? that represents white colonial oppressors. Well, you know what? I'm not gonna trouble about his passion because he was,
a passion statement.
and I think he was drawing inspiration
From
from
those
what
things-
was happening.
those things
and,
round about him.
and he could well be saying, Napoleon don't own that. Any man who wants to be an emperor
I gave him
can wear a hat that looks like an emperor's hat. So Earl, yes, I get it.
I must say that, you know, we have listeners online
Yeah.
who has traveled the world.
But the truth of the matter is, he had some bold ideas, which I think come out of his youthfulness and his innocence. And I love it that he looked at himself and said, but why can't I rule? Why don't I have my own Black Caucus, my own PSOJ? When you look at the representation of your skin color in certain quarters, why am I not there? I have the same feeling. And I am way older than he was when he was speaking those things.
Who did he marry?
Well,
He married two ladies, two Amy's.
yes.
He married two Amy's.
Now that our producer is here, let me bring you up to date. Radio and, yeah. We are now going to bring a camera to bear on our guest, the one I've been talking to you about. Way more handsome than you would have believed, because some of you think politicians are not cute. And some of you think that public service make you ugly. But, you know, I think Leslie has defied some of those odds.
Oh, you're so kind.
Yeah, I expect you to be equally kind to me and Percy. Yeah, so at this time when Marcus Garvey we're channeling Marcus Garvey, who put out the call for black men of color. Well, black men of color. Is that tautologous? Because not all black men are of color.
Reversing back.
Yes. We're men of color, black men.
Take responsibility, take
Step
leadership.
into leadership positions, apply their education, their smarts, their resources to build better solutions and solve the problems that bedevil the black community. Even in Jamaica, there is a need for it. We take pleasure in welcoming Mr. Leslie Campbell. I was going to say senator.
Former senator,
Yeah.
former MP.
No, the former
Former
business.
minister of state.
If you call me a farmer,
Are you a farmer?
Yes, indeed I am.
You're a farmer.
We're starting with that because
He's a farmer.
let us start with current. What's keeping you occupied these days, Leslie? Practice of law?
Well, I'm trying to rebuild a practice which has sort of
Yeah,
gone
it's,
into-
so it's inevitable then that something suffers when you're going to public
of course,
service.
Of course, you know,
The price is high.
yes, particularly in an area where it is the person that you can't just leave others to do it. Because I've had the experience of a client who I had some 20 years ago. I did a significant body of work for him, and because I was
You are not
I'm not
available
there. He can't pick up
now.
the phone and get me when he
Yeah.
wants.
Went elsewhere.
He went elsewhere.
Has he come back yet?
He has one foot through the door.
I love that.
Just let him know that your rates went up by 40%.
I can't tell him that because that's one of the issues he's had.
That's what's bringing him back. Yeah, he went elsewhere and found that it's way
rate-
more costly.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a price, and I want to start there. What did it cost you, if you had to list it in order of priority? What did it cost you to serve?
I have not been able to put a dollar figure on it.
Still married?
No.
So did it cost? Were you married when you started?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay, so it cost you a wife.
That's my wife, right?
I say it laughingly, but
No, I
think that
do
is-
wonder. I
that-
do understand
that's a
that.
high
And-
price.
And the relationship with your children, it suffers.
It puts
And,
pressure on that.
In fact, if my dear mother were alive, I think she'd be very upset with me. I mean, she was a forgiving woman, and because she was one of the people who warned me against.
Yeah. So you waited until she died?
Yes, I literally, on the occasion of
Her funeral?
I was making a decision that now that she's gone.
Is it because your recruiter was present at the funeral saying, we still have a spot for you?
In fact, the recruiter was that?
You serious?
Yes.
Of course, politicians love funerals.
Yes.
They do good
And
recruitment there.
He was there, in fact, two of them.
Yeah.
They were present at the funeral, and but it's a significant sacrifice. So I don't even like describing it as a sacrifice because it does suggest that there's some bitterness and.
Oh no, when you speak to Percy and Minette, sacrifice means something of value that is put on the altar to bring even greater value into it's a place of exchange.
And if we accept it on the basis of that explanation,
yes,
certainly
sacrifice.
I have no worries about it. I'll do it.
So may I then thank you on behalf of the people of Jamaica?
Certainly, it was my
pleasure. You served in a rural constituency, right?
Yes, I did.
What was your constituency?
Northeast St. Catherine. That's an area, if you think of on the western side, it runs along the
Park?
No, the south. North-South highway on the western side.
Oh, okay.
Going into Guys Hill.
Okay.
Yeah,
so now I know where you speak.
Part of Riversdale, Glengoff, coming around.
So now that you've given me, this is the question I have always wanted to ask a parliamentarian. What was your vision for that constituency? What did you see yourself accomplishing for them?
Let me be very, very selfish. I saw it at the micro level.
Yes.
Just getting people in that constituency titled for their land. And at the national level.
Yeah.
Wow.
For me, I didn't want to achieve any more than that because I take it in small bites.
Yes.
At the minute, we have somewhere in the region of 360,000 parcels of unregistered land in this country.
Nationally?
Yes.
Okay.
And we set our ambition is to achieve, to register 20,000 parcels in 3 years. It would take us in the region of 51 years to complete the registration.
Good as you're looking, you wouldn't be alive.
No
one here would be alive.
Gone beyond. And I say, we're not sufficiently ambitious. And
yes.
the people who are suffering at the end of it is the poor folks who have not been able to register.
Who can't unlock any value from that land.
Exactly. They can't.
They live from crop to crop, don't they?
From crop to
because
crop.
At the end of a season, you can be turfed off that land.
Well, even if you're not turfed off, if you have legal ownership.
Yes.
But the whole our system is structured that so if you don't have title, you can't walk into a financial institution.
Precisely, yeah.
And unlock that value.
The value that sits
the North
in your
Americans
land.
and the Australians and all the other people.
How successful were you in achieving?
We were able to amend the legislation to set up all these regional panels, which but the aggression, the need for revolutionary ideas to come in.
So I'm following you now. I'm following your thought process now. So when you went there with this vision that you want your constituents to own land, which is the first primary source of wealth, you were addressing it.
They already have an interest in the land.
Well, legal ownership under the structure registered land. Yes. So you wanted them to have that confidence, the highest level of ownership. But you were tackling it now from the superstructure that would benefit the whole nation.
Indeed.
And for that, we have got as far as setting up parish-based panels that do the adjudication. I see a lot of advertisements in the paper. It's coming out of that.
Yes, coming out of that.
Oh, okay.
But the question...
You're following Percy?
No, I'm following perfectly. So
but,
what he said in terms of going in, that was your basic vision.
Right.
Yeah.
To shift the land policy. Because we have that is something that...
It's big, man. It's big on our list. Big on our list. Every day we say something. Yes, I mean, and we relate it to things that are happening. When 11 families are burnt out of some kind of ramshackle existence in Gregory Park, land policy. That's how I look at it. Something is happening in Little London, Brighton Beach, Westmoreland, land policy. 850 acres of land, which beachfront, in foreign hands with locals who have formed attachments to the land, fighting to gain purchase. So we see it as a very, very big issue. And so did you.
Yeah, yeah, well, certainly, and I still do. And in fact,
What was the mood in Parliament when you arrived, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, saying we need reform in the? Were you
I
well
don't-
received
I
on
don't
that
think it was-
platform?
well, I still don't believe a lot of my colleagues understand that um, every other,
Yeah.
pretty much every other jurisdiction you go to, they understand the connection.
Are you familiar with the word belonger
bit,
and non-belonger?
that they understand the connection between land and
People
wealth.
and yeah.
Land and wealth.
Yeah.
You can't, wherever you go, even in
May I ask you this now? What accounts for that disconnect in the psyche of our politicians, or what accounts for that?
I
Because
think-
you don't have it.
I think it's education and training. That's partly our history.
When you say education, you're talking
I don't mean
about
I don't mean formally. Yeah. Okay, if you look back at what Lesotho did in Peru,
yes.
I mean it was a lifelong line of activity for him. When there were all those people in the
Yeah.
ghettos, he made sure that he devised a system, not in compliance with the, Europe or wherever,
Right.
but something which
Something
was
homegrown
homegrown
that
which
responded to the needs of his people.
indeed,
Yeah.
indeed, wherever the markets arose, he would then.
Were you speaking like this in Parliament?
If you understand the structure of our parliament,
Yeah.
unless something is on the order paper,
Nothing to discuss. In
More
fact,
gone to constitutional reform.
Yeah, in fact, when you look at the attendance, it does not seem as if it's a place where people really do linger to have deep conversations.
again, we are not sufficiently aware or that we can take on board the challenges which will really confront us. It was a sort of club. The cabinet, it crafts the program which goes before the parliament, and to a large extent you say yay or nay.
Or nay. And
They don't represent your
so
constituency.
the work that is
a
done,
serious challenge.
the
Serious
work that
challenge.
is done by the technocrats who bring the policy into Parliament, does that work at any time involve the constituents whom are affected by it?
Well, let me say, it does involve them in that you're the representative, and you're supposed to be sufficiently
Yes.
aware of what your
Yes.
constituents want.
Yeah.
I was very aware for the reason.
So when you get the policy document, it's your opportunity to say this won't work for my constituency, or
well,
I
you
need it
can't-
to be this or that way.
You can't really say not for your constituency unless a local program.
Yeah.
Nationally, how
Yeah.
would it impact everybody?
Yeah.
I suppose that's a standpoint.
Was it difficult for you to separate the urgent ambitions for your constituency from the national objective?
I had daily challenges because I was conflicted. I'm supposed to serve this broader coalition.
Yeah.
But then I had a subset within that group who but then there was very little opportunity. I could top off. If I don't get something doesn't
Trickle down.
trickle down
Yes.
from centrally.
Yeah.
Let's say let's use at a micro level. I wanted a piece of roadway because I knew that there were 100 farmers in a community and I needed a piece of roadway. The decision had to be taken centrally,
Yes.
and it would have to go through the National Works Agency or one of the other bodies set up
Yeah.
to do it. And if you're not in, because of the limited nature of our resources,
Did you ever get that road? How much of it you got?
I get a piece of road.
yes, there were pieces, but not sufficient.
Not to your complete
not
satisfaction.
sufficient. And you see,
I'm just thinking, Leslie, in terms of the concerns of your constituency. It's a farming thing versus urban. And that is what has resulted in the drift to urban.
oh yes,
because people really don't understand that the concerns of a rural constituency totally different from somebody living in the urban,
I think
and
they
you get
understand
shafted
though,
for it.
Percy. I think they understand. I just think
I'm
it's
just
priority. I think it's
So who calls the
priority.
priority?
Well, that's
Highest source of tax dollars,
Yes, because
more prominence in the
right
towards the
Let
core
me give an example.
income earning
Yeah.
activities.
If you take a small community, let's say Troja in St. Catherine,
Yes.
and you have 100 farmers.
Yes.
If you measure how much taxation,
Comes out of that
whether
community.
direct or indirect,
Yes.
it's a fraction of
Doing something on the hip strip in Mobi.
indeed.
Yeah.
And so you'll always have to be getting tax revenue from outside that
do
community
that.
to do that. There's some places that I look at, and the state is asked to move water, say into that hill, the Mount Rasa.
Yes.
I mean, in my mind, people ought not to be living on Mount Rasa. It just costs too
It's impossible
much
to get services to them.
for services
Yes.
to get to them, or in some. If you make a decision, you have to understand now that it's available. That you use the sun something which is sun powered.
Yes.
No, but to ask the state to use the very limited resources, because how many of our people are
But isn't that the test of democracy? That the one old woman up in the hill has as much right to a quality of life.
we can have that discussion some other time, but
You better be buying drinks if you want that discussion. That discussion requires food. But
All right, let's just shift a little. So now, good religion, poor, vulnerable,
orphans and widows in their time of need.
Right,
This is what is acceptable.
as good religion. So even the politics of the good religion.
Politics is not good religion. I couldn't resist it.
I'm just saying, because we're sitting there, and the richer get richer, the poor get poorer.
You see, those are very serious discussions to have. Because
Percy will buy drinks for that question.
if you allow each man to decide what he does, but has he been placed in a position that he can make a truly informed decision as to whether he lives in Mount Rasa? Because a man may decide,
But the views are great.
yes, and he wants to go up into the Blue Mountain Hills, and he wants to enjoy the fine and lovely weather conditions up there.
You're
as
saying
opposed
he
to
should
us.
be able to afford it?
No, he does so knowing that all
That he has
the
to
things-
catch rainwater and use that pit toilet?
Not it. The Germans have devised some really exciting ones now, where you don't have to. You don't need water.
Oh, it goes
and there's technology.
right back into the soil and build a pear tree.
And those
Alrighty
lovely
then.
mangoes that you like to have. Oh my Lord.
Yes, but you know-
But to get to the point of the wider society being responsible for the vulnerable, so I have no issue with that. But I think that we have been socialized, a number of us, to believe that the state has ultimate responsibility for us. I don't know that we have been socialized to accept that we have a certain level of
Responsibility.
And I mean, your good religion demands that.
That's the first place.
Yes, and it demands that not only do you provide for yourself, that you must leave something for the benefit of those who come after. So
Your grandchildren.
Yes, and great grands too.
Yeah, I'm thinking through what you're saying, because in every age there are vulnerable people for whom we're responsible. In fact, I was looking at the law pertaining to tithing, the Malachi, 10 verse 3 or 3 verse 10, whatever. God saying to his people, test me and see. Bring my portion into the storehouse so that
I can.
the widows can eat, the foreigner can come in and eat, and my priest, for whom I made no inheritance, can eat. So even before the time of Christ and great grace, there was the recognition that there are always going to be those who will eat from the produce And it's not the excess because it come from the top. It's not when you're finished and where you have leave.
Right.
He says, of what you get out of my bounty, take mine off the top, the best, and put it in my storehouse so that
it can deal with
those
everybody.
who have no one to care for them can eat.
Isn't that what we have with our taxation system? Because
no.
Before you get your pay
No,
package.
we have the we have the take from the top.
Take it first.
Yes, we have the take from the top. But are the people eating? And
that's for a whole
and that
day
is a
discussion.
different, yeah. But
and how do you measure?
yeah,
Yeah.
but
How do you measure that which people ought to be consuming?
yeah.
And do you get?
Well, it's going to be limited to what you have collected.
Yes.
In what's in the treasury sets the overall cap. But
Right. And then you may.
yeah. But here's what's kind of troubling me.
come to the break.
We'll
Come back
talk a
from
little
the-
bit about it in the break because we want you to come back. We're taking our break. It's 9:00.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935. Wow.
Welcome back. Our guest at the table, uh, former senator, former MP, current
Farmer.
restored attorney at law and farmer
A
now.
farmer. He's a farmer. He's a farmer. Yeah, but
Yeah, Leslie Campbell is our guest, and we're getting some insight what it has been like to serve in Parliament as a senator as well, the challenges and I guess the heartaches.
Yes,
I want to ask you something about your constituency. Is that what are your connections to that area? Grandfather come from there, mother come from there,
I was
born there. You were born there, right?
he's a man of the land.
And
Yes,
you
yes, yes.
and you maintained connections to that area. I guess coming up visiting
Oh yes,
and
oh yes.
so on. Okay.
Yes. I mean, last week I needed some cow foot leaf.
Oh,
And where did I go?
you okay.
Cow
You
foot
went to the
leaf,
source.
Cow foot leaf. Is that a plant or is that the cow foot itself?
The leaf.
I hesitated to ask. So it's like some kind of
It's a
medicinal.
Yeah, yes. It's
Go foot leaf. What's it good for? Without telling us why you needed
I
it.
understand it helps to clean the arteries.
Oh, blood
Okay.
cleansing.
Yes.
Ah,
So together with ginger and
Turmeric
cinnamon
and cinnamon.
and all
All
of those
right.
things, you make a drink and you suppose. So
Yeah.
since I
well,
think-
you can report to us. On
Yeah,
effective
that's
method.
what
we take report. But I just wondered, having served that constituency, are there any disappointments, any regrets? Would you do it again?
I this system as would operate against me. It's operating against me now. How
Yeah.
the present structure.
Yeah.
Firstly, with a rural community life, you need every man who sees you has his palm turned.
Yeah.
He's looking for a benefit.
Is it because he's greedy or because there's a genuine need?
No. It's
Genuine
it's
need.
a genuine need, and I wanted to remove that from him by giving him access to
Teach him to fish.
Yeah, by saying, listen, you have 5 acres of land. It is valued at $5 million. Go to your PC bank and borrow $1 million so you can do a business.
Did you succeed with any such initiative? Are there
So,
success
to-
stories?
To a very, very, very small extent.
Yeah.
Because by the time you go through the parliamentary process to actually get people out there to change the approach to land titling, you would have lost 2 sessions.
Yeah. Wow.
In
2 years?
Yeah, 2 years, and you have to get the technical people to write the legislation,
Sure.
and it has to be reviewed. So, I think a few of them will benefit now that
Yeah.
they will get titles and they can go into and they make the connection. And now, of course, you'll have like people like Minister Hill will be saying to them, yes, we have a unit which will help you
To fast track
fast
some
track
of these
it.
processes.
And to say, well, listen, it's not just getting the money, because we know that there have been attempts in the past to give people
And
money.
the PC Bank is an old institution.
And what they do, they end up using it to buy motorbikes and to do without making
Yes,
the inputs.
so the business management side of it.
was woefully lacking.
Let me
Yeah,
ask you a question. You made an important point, which is difficult for you because everybody came with their
Hand
hands.
outstretched.
Today is Marcus Garvey Day. Can you relate that to emancipate yourself from mental slavery? Is it emancipation of people's minds and how they see their MPs and how they see the system that needs to happen to move us forward? What do you think?
If Marcus Garvey were alive today, he'd be a very depressed man, because the challenge which he threw out then,
Yes.
I don't think it.
We haven't advanced.
It didn't resonate with too many of us. And perhaps why a little awareness came to me that my grandfather was an advocate. He was one of those people who traveled with Marcus Garvey.
Oh,
And
interesting.
yeah,
Wow.
In fact, he got killed in
In the struggle.
When I said killed, he used to ride a horse.
Yes.
And one evening when he was going home,
Misadventure.
Those who opposed Marcus Garvey in the community
Yes.
hit him with stones and he fell. And medical care wasn't as
yeah.
good then, and his lung was punctured.
So your grandfather was a Garveyite through
Yeah,
and
man,
through.
yeah.
And died in battle.
And died, yeah.
Basically,
If I say so, he
yeah.
went to the hospital and never recovered.
Oh,
He died
my
from
Lord.
Did he go to Cornwall Regional?
You say his father, grandfather was me. I try. I never leave the gentleman alone.
No. And I'm not drawing his tongue on the current, the current challenges with the health
Let me go
sector.
specifically back to his what I think he'd be suffering from now is the lack of empathy and the awareness on the part of those of us who ought to.
Do better.
Yeah. Just think, Marcus Garvey grew up and became aware of all that was happening. And one thing that he'll be very pleased with this morning is that we have, for a long time, been fooling around with this whole issue of reparation.
Yes.
And I think Racco has come up with a formula as to how to calculate the damages flowing.
Right, yeah.
I may just declare my hand.
Yeah.
I'm a very serious advocate.
Of reparations.
Yes.
I am so serious that I say that the Jamaican government, standing in ownership of so much crown land, should start the process in the name of His Majesty. And say, I give some of this crown land that
to
they're busy
everybody.
putting in the Commissioner of Land's name. Give it to people.
Difficult that will be, but not because something is difficult, it shouldn't be done.
Yeah.
And we must find a way.
Yeah.
In the
I
same-
would announce it on their behalf. The Governor General is his representative. I would get up and say, I am creating land grants to the descendants of Africans who left the plantation with no land, and give them titled land to, not any long-term lease or any
and where they
occupiers'
put
rights.
some zinc fence
And
and-
put,
and-
yes,
and-
no.
and-
That's
yeah,
what I would do.
Well-
I would trick them. I would announce it. Just like how they trick us plenty times. But I too feel very
But
seriously about
I
it.
think Marcus Garvey, as you said in an earlier conversation, he would be very, very disappointed. And I think, well, they're advocates, excellent
Yes.
advocates out there. And I think they continue to bring their awareness.
You know, when you say out there, it reminds me that parliamentarian Mike Henry, who moved the members' motion, resorted to a members' motion in Parliament because the advocates are truly out there. They don't seem to be in Parliament. What is the mood for reparations when you were there and observed it?
There are people like Minister Grange and so on. They're acutely aware of the
I love
need.
it how you could only say one name.
When you think that's all of us, because most people in Parliament, when you look at
63
our state,
people.
it should be pushing it.
Well, do we so understand sufficiently what Marcus Garvey was talking about? You see, because we trot out a few lines from him,
Yes.
but I don't think a deeper understanding.
We clearly don't,
Yeah.
because though he's the first among the heroes, we have not
Not in the school,
incorporated
not in the education
the
system.
wholesome parts of his philosophy into what we teach, how we represent our nation, and so on and so forth. So I agree with you. I don't think we do. One of the things, though, that I find compelling about Marcus Garvey's advocacy for the rights of my people, our people, because he saw so much signs of self-hate, he did what seemed like the obvious thing of promoting rabid self-interest and self-love. And I believe, if I speak from the anointed place of, the heart of God, I believe that would predestine a failure, because to reject one system that fed on hostility and division and put in its place another system that feeds on hostility and division will not promote a solution. And so everything he writes about,
I think even he would admit, if he were alive now.
yes. And it brought him much pain.
Yes.
Because although many saw the virtue of what he was doing, and even last night, my nephew and my niece, adults now, were with me, and they were all talking, and my sister too, were talking about how much Singapore embraced what Marcus Garvey was saying and what Michael Manley was saying. And out of it, modeled a society that today many people are telling us we should be like Singapore.
Well, Singapore is regretting the routes they took.
Sorry, they are?
Yes, that's
They're what?
I missed the word. They are regretting?
Yeah,
Or they
the
are?
route that they took.
Well, there was an arm in it that I wouldn't have chosen.
Which arm they use?
Yeah, man, but that's a dictatorial.
Yeah,
You really can't.
right.
Exactly.
You can't compel love. I tell you that all the time. You cannot legislate morality and decency and integrity and those things.
Exactly.
You can't, and they try to do it. But
Yeah.
but you know what? Let me fix those problems from a place of abundance. If I had to choose between my nation being well resourced and progressive, but they're a bit stiff and lack,
And having no natural resources.
and have, yes, if I have to do it from a place of abundance, I'd rather
You prefer to do that.
I would think
So you
so.
you'd have gone the dictatorial way to do
No,
it.
no, no. I would not have.
I'm just asking
What I'm
because I
saying
remember
is
in
we're
Wayne's-
standing in 2023, and they are now realizing that, oops, perhaps I, put a little too much salt. I would rather be here trying to fix that than to be like where Jamaica is, in a manner of speaking. And the reason I say where Jamaica is really because of the violence that we have unleashed on ourselves, which is coming from that same place of hate that Marcus Garvey was seeing, that we're so traumatized. We're still raped and battered and bruised and trying to, tidy up our skirt and fix our hat and look like people of dignity. And he was saying, love yourself. And you know what? Hate the people them who treat you like that. Just pour more love into yourself.
Are you really saying that
Build up dignity.
The non-maroon section of Jamaica should really hate the Maroons for what they did to us?
No, I'm saying that.
You're not saying that.
I'm not saying that.
The
In
non-maroon
fact,
should hate
we
the maroon.
spoke.
No.
We've spoken about that on this program because the Morning Connection did a broadcast from a compound just before the revolt. You know, the one where the Prime Minister says we are a unitary state, and the Maroon leader says, "Well, try tell that to the Governor General."
No, but going back,
This-
doesn't our history suggest
Yes.
that the Maroons were the ones who operated?
Not our history suggests. The treaty which they signed says, and when them run away, catch them and we give you 30 shillings.
Yes.
And some people are carrying a grudge about that.
So having participated in
Yes.
in that
Forgiveness, man.
Okay, that's a separate issue,
Yeah.
And so we have to forgive them.
Forgiveness.
But why shouldn't part of what they have
Yeah.
or come to those of us who suffered at their hands?
Suffer that their hands
Listen,
and the rest of the
I
Jamaicans
believe.
suffer.
Can I tell you? I believe that if the Prime Minister of Jamaica and all the Maroon chiefs sat down and said, "Now listen,
Let's work
we
this
share
out.
one landmass.
Let's work
Yours
it out."
currently have some virgin resources, and ours is played out and tired. Let's see how we're gonna
Best we can.
cooperate. Have
Dialogue.
one big pot, and we share and we respect and listen to me." That would be a short conversation. You think the Maroons want to be out there on their own, can't extract value from what they have, and living in hostility with their immediate neighbors? They don't, and I say that with knowledge. But you see, even if my palace is a dung heap, I want to be respected in it. And we speak as equals.
Let me tease you a little.
Yeah. Remember, you're a farmer now. It had better be.
Yes. We talk about my dung heap. That's where serious fertilizer comes.
There you go.
So I can fertilize your farm.
Precious.
It's not precious.
So you better respect my heap of guano.
Yeah. So all the vegetables and things which you which you enjoy.
Yes. Yeah. But you
You
know,
weren't gonna tease our man. What's good?
that was the teasing.
What?
Don't keep his mulch.
How do you treat the issue of our participation in our own
The nice destruction.
Yes,
shooting oneself in
the
the
state
foot.
that we're in.
Yes, yeah.
Is there any
You see-
recognition that we participated in the lowly place that we sit now
Yes, and
You mean as
and
Jamaicans?
as a people?
as a
Of
people.
course, I agree
Yes.
with you. But leadership
Yes,
is a very
yes.
important part of it.
Yes, but you see, so our program, and I pray that you come again and we can speak as one now, not you from a more political perspective, but a more faith-based perspective. We speak all the time about taking responsibility and carrying out the acts of repentance that builds the bridge to the future. And it is all hands on deck. It's recognizing that I say, how do you think black people get on in the bottom of a ship sailing out of Africa? Black people
And black people
tie
catch
we up
them and tie them
put we
and tell
there.
them. Yes.
Yeah, the white man couldn't have lasted a day in the jungle. He was in the ship waiting on the people to bring us to the shoreline.
So do we do a set off for the fact of their participation? How much of what?
In my experience, and I've been going to Africa with a little frequency these days, Africa is waiting for that to happen. And it's what's good about it is that we're all descendants of. So I can't really look at you and say you did it. So it
We're
gives
looking at
us
the institution
we're
first.
looking at, yeah. So now we're looking at it and saying, my children being ripped from my arms hurt me. And the children over here are saying, who looked for me? It's time for you to rebuild
Reconciliation.
that connection. Africa have land and resources that those who are there are not making the best use of it for their own people, because sometimes it is the diaspora.
Because you are coming with a Western view. You're
But
taking
you know that in the prophecies of Ezekiel, there are some clear
The diaspora.
prophecies about what the diaspora will do for homeland. It's no accident that some of us were transplanted, because the transplant brings back something different that seeds the future generation. And I believe that more people are, Jamaica's diaspora will
Waking
do
up to
that.
it. Waking up to that
And
reality.
it's happening on
Interesting
a
you think
global
that,
level.
In fact, the first
Diaspora
diaspora conference.
Yes?
I was invited just the other day. I delivered the keynote that one.
And you spoke about Ezekiel?
No, not Ezekiel, because I'm not as knowledgeable as you are. And we must stick to those things that we know.
Oh, so you stayed in the Psalms.
Yeah.
You stayed in the Psalms.
Not one of those bad ones.
Not after together in unity.
Break their teeth and
Yes.
warfare Psalms.
Warfare.
Come on, let's serious. Yeah.
I know that.
But of course, we have to understand the context. They were coming from a place where they were really badly treated. I think in this whole reparation discussion, that
Yeah.
has to be taken on board too. That we have to acknowledge our role
Yeah.
in
how we got here.
In how we got here.
Yeah.
And because we still have the hierarchy there to a lesser extent. And those people really decide and extract significant sums for their own selves, and the rest of us don't
Yeah.
benefit. So the question is that consonant with good theology?
Reparations
Their continued behavior.
or accept. No, it isn't. But you understand, and that it took 400 years for the sins of the Amorite to reach full measure. I love that scripture, because when God told Abraham, your descendants shall be in Egypt for 400 years, he says they'll come back when the sins of the Amorites reach full measure. So I'm not surprised that the oppressor class continues to oppress, because I'm at 400 years. And it starts at you can be counting it at any point you
in
get the
time.
revelation. You can say it's 400
100 years
years.
time to
You just
give
know
back.
it takes a long time. And you then begin to govern yourself in a particular way, making sure that you don't fall into the same trap. Because you're 400, everybody has 400 years.
Right.
It's running, that clock is running for all of us. So the equity, the righteousness, the inclusion, the caring for the vulnerable, the making sure people understand. You spoke about informed consent. I feel like I'm being interviewed and I should be talking to you. But sharing ideas
But you're the one
with all the ideas.
she doesn't accept that she's my senior. Oh,
Oh, you are
I am
a
senior.
in terms of the
I am,
lawyering.
yes.
Okay. But there's one thing, as we come up
Yeah, so
to-
those are things I think we have to take into account. Accepting responsibility always, no matter, there are no innocents, really, because mankind is one family. So even if my brother is the one who put me there, what did I not give him at a time when he needed it that led him into that direction? Because my brother should never hurt me. He really shouldn't. So if he's hurting me, that means there's some hurt he has suffered.
that we don't know about.
well,
Yeah.
we want to take it that that is
Yeah. No, hurt people.
That's true. That's a principle.
So yes,
But I want
so
to shift it a little
whether
bit.
you are the source of the hurt or it's something else, he's hurt. How did I not see it?
Yeah,
Shift
but-
it.
Land.
That's not
Constitutional
shifting it.
reform.
That's like-
No, land. I'm going back to land
That's going
because
back.
land constitutional reform.
There needs to be a serious acknowledgement of the suffering which, by virtue of that constitutional scheme,
Yes.
has allowed so many people to remain
Landless.
landless.
Yeah. Do you
They-
know,
in
Leslie?
fact, there is we have and continue to use this whole thing about adverse possession. So,
Yes. And I've banned the word squatting. Do not say it. I'm the only one allowed to say it as I remind people of the ban.
It is something with the introduction of the
Registered.
most recent amendments. I think it was in 2013, where we have the Charter of Fundamental Rights. We continue to
Oh, we're going to break in like 5 seconds,
Yeah.
so say it fast.
we continue to hold on to that whole British concept
Yes.
of adverse.
Yeah,
So
which has been made unconstitutional is where you're going.
Indeed.
All right, we'll take our break. We'll have like 15 minutes when we come back. We can wrap up. And then breakfast.
But he's leaving us. Welcome back. Welcome back. This has
Yeah.
been very engaging on and off air. I pose a question in terms of land and constitutional reform, and you were responding to it. Do you think in this new constitutional arrangement, in terms of it needs to be in the constitution in terms of land for the landless? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I certainly think that those crown lands, even if people are not given the actual land that they can get some kind of, and firstly there has to be an acknowledgement,
Right.
that it should be, and then given some kind of grant, so
That allows them
yeah,
to use it fully.
to use it fully. Where,
But, you know,
so if they're going to buy private lands, then maybe to use that as a deposit or whatever. They
Right.
use-
Yeah.
participate in-
Structures can be
Yeah,
arrived at. There are two things in the current constitution that I talk about all the time, and I'm just gonna, burden you with it, because though you have retired from it, I suspect you still speak to persons of power. One is that education in the Constitution, or entitlement to publicly funded education, stops at some kind of all age, or person tells me that's
12.
about 12,
12, yeah.
12 years of age. That needs to go.
That may be a misunderstanding of the application of the rules around, because I think it goes up to 17.
No. All ages
Specifically
about
says
14,
it.
15.
This is publicly funded education.
Yes, but all the high schools in Jamaica are publicly funded.
Yes, we're doing it, and we have heart, and we take tax money to do it.
But it's
But a
not-
citizen couldn't sue the government for it as a
Well,
breach of a
if
as
there's-
breach of a
if-
constitutional
Yeah,
right.
if there's a lacuna, certainly.
Yes. So that needs
What
to
is
go.
that
but
word, lacuna?
Lacuna.
Lacuna.
A space, a gap, a big tuna.
You two lawyers talking that way.
A lacuna.
Like a Rosha, like
Big
that.
tuna. But the other one is that we have the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms. And if we just apply plain legal logic, every right that is guaranteed should come with a structure for its preservation, administration, enforcement, so to speak. With the exception of what you do through the court system, if they lay hands on you suddenly, if the police cart you off, and that's hard enough as it
a
is.
different laying of
They say that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
but with the exception of that system, which is there to deal with criminal misconduct and prosecution and so on, we really have not fleshed out how the government would ensure that citizens can access these rights, police, monitor, and lay hold of it.
Always sitting
So
constitution.
one of the rights, yes, one of the rights has to do with the land being our heritage and the natural environment being the people's heritage. That is where I would like us to build something that handles access to land and grant and beach access and how the environment is protected in the halls of Parliament. Do you get this awareness that parliamentarians carry that public trust to ensure that whatever the law gives or protects for the people, it's truly accessible and they are guardians of it? Loaded question.
I must confess that
Yeah.
it goes back to what I said earlier.
I know.
I don't know that we.
The education and the
yeah,
sensitivity.
Yeah,
Absent.
it is absent. And perhaps because of the nature of our parliamentary politics, and what you're expected to do, because and that has to change. As I say, you have up here the fellows up here,
Cabinet.
yeah, and they craft something and it's
and it
filtered, and
comes
you go
down.
and you go to Parliament and
And you beat the table.
if you're not part of the joint select committee that is deliberating on it, there's no active participation on your part, save and except that when it comes up for the debate, and you may or may not
Participate in the debate.
Can you get up and say, point of order?
Yes, you can always, if there is indeed a point of order.
And say, I don't like it how this is shaping up.
And yes,
You'd be shown the back door.
but of course, you know, you'll be spoken to in no uncertain
The whip
terms.
will secure,
Yes.
will set on you. Parliamentary whip.
Yes, he will perhaps remember that you have a constituency
To report to.
report
Oh.
to, and you're begging.
You need that road.
You need
Probably
to-
why your road only came in patches. My final question for you, my brother, because we are about to wrap up. When did the shine leave the ball? This is a cricket term, or maybe it is baseball, I don't know. But I know that you're all excited with your new ball, and I'm parliamentarian, and I'm going to touch heaven and change earth.
Earth, yes.
Did it leave the ball, and when?
I suppose it's about midway when I realized that there was very little that as a parliamentarian that you could impact. And so that I did an interview for which I ran into serious issues because I'd say, look at how much parliamentarians were paid, and that takes us into a different world.
How many
We're not going
parliamentarians
there.
there?
He says, look at what they're paid.
What they were
They were being paid.
at the time.
Yes.
And I said at the time that I was expected to administer $1 trillion budget. That's what you're asking me.
Yeah.
And you asked me to do so with the utmost probity and, you know,
Dedicate time and resources.
time and resources. And but the system doesn't acknowledge what I do.
So it's you why they got triple pay.
No. The good folks like Ronnie Thwaites was a serious advocate for it. And if we were to follow Lee Kuan Yew, was one of the, we follow him everywhere he went. So
Pay them well.
Pay them well, and
Yeah.
if and when
And punish them well too.
you take the
Take
hand.
the hand that
Yes,
was
you
collecting
take
the money.
hand. Yes.
Yes.
But we can have these discussions after.
I
But
actually believe in solid, top class compensation for a job well done.
because
I believe in that.
My grandfather would say, "You pay peanut,
Get peanut,
you
he'd be a
get
monkey.
You get monkey."
Get monkeys. Get monkeys. But these days, was your grandfather a man of yellow skin?
Absolutely not. The palm of his hand was black.
Ah, I love it. Okay, so
Of his hand was
so he
black.
really loved monkeys.
I'll tell you another story.
It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure
Leslie.
was mine.
Yeah, I do hope you come back.
When we come back, it really has
Yeah.
been engaging, interesting, informative, and we see what it is.
So we should say no monkeys were hurt in the making of this.
No, I don't think.
No peanuts were paid.
No peanuts or pay, no monkeys
Yeah.
were made in the making of.
The
But
making of
Leslie,
this,
thanks
so-
very much.
My
Man of
pleasure.
God, man of
Anytime.
God, man of God. And I say all the time, we need persons who are persons who are Christians to be on both sides.
So now that Leslie's standing, is the camera focusing on his navel?
No.
My apologies.
Yeah, listen, I have an irreverent sense of humor. I hope it did not frighten you too much. You knew it before anyway.
She keeps forgetting that she has a history.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Please do give my regards to your uncle. How is he? Still ruling the world? Ainsworth Campbell, the king of personal injury.
Right then.
Yes, young lawyers
All right.
like Leslie haven't done half of what
Half,
he has
you know.
forgotten. But I bless you for joining us.
yeah.
All right, so you can tell we enjoyed our conversation with Leslie, and
will call your birthday.
maybe he'll give a good report elsewhere, and others will come and talk to us.
And say, I'm not going to kill you.
They're not so
going to kill
bad.
you.
They're actually kind of funny. Percy, it's time for us to wrap up the show. Did you know that?
Yet it is, and I really
And you have
wanted-
more scripture to give us?
No, I don't have no more scripture. I just really wanted to, the World Championship begins tomorrow.
So you want to say a prayer for this?
I'm not a prayer, but I just
the
wanted to
Warriors.
make some predictions. But I
You want
lost.
to prophesy?
No, not a prophesy, but some predictions in terms of what I'm expecting, in terms of the events that people are entered into. I think Jamaica, in terms of the sprints, will do well on the women's side. Um, 1, 2, 4, the 800, the hurdles. We'll get medals there. I think we'll figure well in the 4x1 women's. We'll probably pick up an individual medal in the 400 hurdles, 400-meter flat, the 800-meter, the 4x1, the 4x4.
Are you doing this for the bookies?
The bookies for the bookies that
I
are
think
there.
someone is writing it down
Right.
and saying,
You
I'm
know,
going to
but
put
I think
some
we're gonna
money
get
on
medals
this.
there, and then on the male side, we'll probably make the final in the 100, not in the 2. In the 400, I expect people in the 400 meters.
All right, any moment
final.
now, the producer is going to move the camera.
I know that's
So
all right.
may I just say thank you to those on air and those online for joining with us this morning. Pastor Percival, Lloyd back at the studio, Mr. Producer, thank you. We had a great time with our guests. We're going into the weekend. As you can see, Pastor Percival has shifted to the sports mode.
Yes, I have.
I'm shifting out of it.
But I'm just saying, as I'm wrapping
it.
up the 400 meters, men, 800, 4x4, 4x1s, we'll get medals there. And 400 hurdles, I'm really surprised there. But we'll be doing well, and thank you. Let's be praying for them.
All righty. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah.